My buddy Scott Van Pelt. How are you, Scott?
Rich, I'm at Augusta National.
Yes.
It's about 70. It was snowing in Connecticut.
Yes.
As you know, having lived at the old joy of April snow, I'm better than I deserve to be. Thank you.
You bet, Scott. And so let me guess how you watched the game last night, okay? You and Tirico, Butler Cabin, Fuzzy wheeled the television in with the Jamesons. Jack brought, let's go Fritos, right? You used your coasters because it is the Butler Cabin.
Sure.
Did I nail it? How close am I to how you watched the game?
Jack brought Bud Heavy because he's an old school guy.
Okay, nice. Okay.
No, we actually, you were right about Tirico. And there's a guy who's an agent, a big wheeler dealer agent that hosts the Monday party. And there was a player there early, but late it was just thinned out. It was me, Tirico, and the agent on the couch in the house screaming as the shot went in. So no Jack, no green jacket.
No.
Good company and an unbelievable game.
I mean, put it in perspective for me, Scott. At the top of the show, I was talking about how you dream of drawing it up on a playground as a little kid, and that actually played out last night for Chris Jenkins. So, and of all people, Chris Jenkins, right, against Nate Britt's UNC Tar Heels. That was incredible. Incredible.
It was, and we have a tendency more now than ever to try to figure out immediately where does this rank in the pantheon, and I don't love doing that because if we say it's the best ever, then we ignore anything that's ever happened prior to, and that's pretty arrogant. Having said that, Nova shot 58% and had to win by 3 after Marcus Page hits a bicycle kick 3 from about 30 feet.
Yeah.
And to shoot that well and to draw up a play that was executed, you'll have people bring up the NC State-Houston game, which was an incredibly memorable finish, but frankly to a pretty poorly played game. This was a high-level game played between two heavyweight teams this year, and a play was executed to perfection that won a national title. I don't know how you could have anything that would be much beyond that. A little time, some perspective, you look back and you say, maybe this, maybe that. But this will be in the discussion for all time of one of the greatest games and certainly one of the most memorable finishes we've ever seen.
Yeah, and on the anniversary of Lorenzo Charles' putback to beat Phi Slama Jama. Again, you can't just draw it up. But you're an old school guy, kind of like me, from the same era, where you were growing up watching Lefty Drizel with Maryland in the ACC. Now they're in the Big Ten. And I was a Big East guy, and now Syracuse is an ACC team, and UConn is no longer a Big East team. Just seeing Villanova for the Big East win in 2016 in this day and age, that's something that really struck a nerve with me. I'm wondering about with you, Scott.
That's an astute observation. It matters for the league, and it's one of my favorite 30 for 30s was the whole thing. It was a Requiem for the Big East. It was. I'm embarrassed that if I'm getting the title on. All I know was Mullen and Pinckney, and it just takes you back to that era in time to what that league was. And it's different now, but Nova is still a pillar within the league. And for Jay and for that school, it's gigantic. And just for this era and for Jay and Nova, because they had been so good in the regular season and not been good in the postseason, it checks off all of the boxes for, hey, we haven't been good lately, but here's what we did. And then to your point, hey, the Big East has still got it's still got some juice. I totally agree with that. For them to win, it mattered on a lot of different fronts. And I mean, it's interesting. I'm kind of name dropping, but I think it sort of serves a purpose. I see Ernie Els. Here's a South African guy, and he yells over, "Scotty, how about that game last night?" Everywhere you go this morning, that's all anyone can talk about is what happened last night. And then, obviously by the end of the week, we'll be talking about hopefully something different that's going on here.
Yeah, and before we get to that, Chris Law just fact-checked it. You have, he was correct?
He was, in fact, correct. It is the Requiem for the Big East.
So you can go back to Bristol when this is all done, Scott.
Thank God.
Okay.
It would be jarring to have to find work at this stage of the game.
Yes,
I don't know where that would happen.
You've been cleared to return once this is all over. I'm on the phone with Scott Van Pelt from the Worldwide Leader in Sports, calling in from Augusta National. All right, so what is the talk there outside of, obviously, what we're all talking about, what happened last night in Houston in the NCAA tournament? What's the talk there about the
Well,
Masters?
It's that you've got a young wave of guys in the absence of Tiger out with injury, that between Jason Day, who's playing very well at the moment, and off of the major win last year at the PGA, Jordan Spieth, who comes back at 22 with a chance to try to go back-to-back, Rory McIlroy, who has just this to win for the Slam. You have kind of a modern-day big three. And obviously when you come here, you think about the big three being Nicklaus, Player, and Palmer. And, this year, Mr. Palmer, as everyone in the game refers to him with, proper respect, won't be part of the ceremonial tee shot. So I think there's a little bit of angst about the turning of pages, Tiger being out, Arnold no longer able to hit the shot. You're thinking about the next era and what does the game have? Well, with Day, McIlroy, and Spieth, those three on their own are a pretty compelling storylines. And then you've got the other cast of characters, whether it's an Adam Scott or a Bubba Watson, both of whom have won this year and both of whom have won here. There'll be plenty of things to talk about once we start playing. But as the lead up, you'll hear a ton of talk about that modern day big three, I would think.
Scott Van Pelt joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into the Tiger of it all. Is there a possibility we'll never see him peg it up again, Scott?
I suppose I'd be silly to say that no, of course he'll play. I don't know that he will. My sense, Rich, is that he will at some point this year play again. The one thing that he's got on his side in this sport, obviously that he wouldn't if he were playing football or basketball or baseball, is that at 40 you can still play. Nicklaus won here at 46. So he could, if he was just taking a pragmatic viewpoint of my back's jacked up and I need to get healthy, he could just put his feet up all year, for the year, and just not play golf if that's what was required, and then come back next year at 41 and still have plenty of time. But we're not a particularly patient sports fandom or society, and so I think that since he's not here, the whispers around, maybe he's done forever. And maybe he's done forever being what he was, which is a threat to win these things. But I think Rich will play again, and my guess is he'll play somewhere again this year. He might be lousy, frankly, that would be reasonable if he wasn't very good. It's hard to just jump back on and be good at competitive golf. Anyone that plays the game knows it's difficult to do that. So I think he'll play again. I just think it'll be a long wait, an impatient wait until he does.
Give me a name off the radar who you think has a shot here this week. Give me a name. I'd say a guy like Schwartzel, and he's off the radar just because he hasn't, until he won again here this year. I don't think he'd won since he won the Masters. But somebody like that's a streaky putter and has played well. Like, you won't. And I'll just say this in advance. We'll have a preview show tomorrow. We won't say his name, I don't think. I don't know why we'd say, hey, Charles Schwartzel. But that's the kind of guy that if he played well, you'd say, oh, well, okay, sure. But typically, as you know, a guy that loves the game and I'm sure pays attention yearly, it's a small group of guys that typically play well here every year. Kuchar, Rose, Mickelson, Day, Scott. These guys are forever on the first page of the leaderboard. Don't forget Couples, man. Couples always seems to lurk around,
No, without a doubt.
But he's not.
And unfortunately, though, Freddie, his back's not going to let him play this year. But you're spot on with that. If Fred, on the other side of 50,
right,
he was in the last group the last couple of weekends. So people like Couples and Mickelson, as long as they play here, will drive down the road thinking they can win. Sure. And they've shown that they're right. That if you know how to play this golf course, that's a huge part in having a shot to contend.
I've got a couple more minutes left here with Scott Van Pelt from ESPN calling in from Augusta. Tell me about this kid, Bryson DeChambeau, and the single plane swing that SportsCenter did a piece on him, and what this kid is all about.
Well, this is where my lack of being out here as much as I used to be leaves me at a loss, because I know as much as you, having seen him on TV. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to say hello to the youngster, but he's, put it this way, the agent types I know are all sort of hovering and trying to figure out how they can lure him into their camp, because this is a game where you're forever looking for the next big thing. and people think he can be. But I'm anxious just to see it in person because I haven't thus far.
Because he's got, what, a single plane swing that's only 70 degrees or something along those lines? And
yeah, you know what?
Decorated at the collegiate level in a manner that we haven't seen since Tiger coming in?
Correct. He's all those things. He's all those things. But the question is, does it translate to the next level? Because the side of the road is littered with guys that have been awfully good at the younger level that don't take the next step. But I would say this. When you win at the lower level and you believe that you're supposed to win, that's the best thing that Tiger and his family did coming up, was they ingrained in him the belief that I win when I play. And these younger guys, they arrive thinking that. So he'll be the next young guy that just shows up thinking, I'll win because that's what I do.
So who do you think is going to win? Give me the Scott Van Pelt, the Van Peasy prediction. Who do you got for me?
It's so boring. It's so boring to say Jason Day. Well, I mean, he's so good and so confident, and he's been so close here before.
Right.
Sometimes it's just your time, and I don't know when the time would have been more right for a guy who's the best in the world, playing the best in the world at a course where he's almost won. I mean, sometimes the tea leaves aren't that difficult to read, so I'll pick Jason Day. Well,
again, thanks for coming on the show, Scott. You're a good man, and you are a deserving nominee, and I hope you win the Sports Emmy. You deserve it, Scott.
That's kind of you to say.
It's true.
And I joke about a lot because they frankly, in the grand scheme, they don't mean a ton. But I'm honored to be nominated just because you try something different, and for the work to be recognized by the people that say this is what they think good work looks like. I was genuinely thrilled to find out that I was nominated, and so I'll go get rip roaring drunk, and hopefully I win.
No, well, here's the problem, Scott. Is it's a dry event. That's the issue. Is you've got to bring the flask. If you bring a flask in like they used to do back in the old days at Cole Fieldhouse and Bird Stadium in College Park, you just bring the hooch in a flask, and then you just get good and liquored up, and then go up there and embarrass your network. Just do it, Scott. Just do it. Do you remember, before I let you go, the round of golf you and I played in the early aughts, or as the late 90s, at Wampanoag in West Hartford, and you were a golf reporter for ESPN, offered the opportunity to come in and be a SportsCenter anchor. Do you remember that conversation that we had? And you were wondering, what you said, do I do SportsCenter? What do I do? And look how you're the man. I'm just excited for you. You deserve it, like I said.
I appreciate that sincerely. I had the good counsel of some folks like you and Dan who knew the lay of the land, and I'm forever in your debt for that.
No,
so
stop.
Sincerely, thank
you. You are a good, kind man to call in on a very busy schedule, very busy day at Augusta. So thanks. Enjoy the week. Okay.
We'll do. You be well.
You too. Thanks. That's Scott Van Pelt at NotTheFakeSVP on Twitter.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.